£95 and 88 pence. That is the annual rent you pay to Ring just to look at the footage from cameras you already bought. Over a decade, that is nearly £1,000 in tribute to Amazon for the privilege of keeping your own home secure.
Most people think they are buying a security tool. In reality, you are buying a piece of plastic and leasing the right to use it. If you stop paying the rent, the plastic becomes a paperweight. Your footage is held for ransom behind a monthly gate.
I put 8 of the most popular security cameras through the ownership test. This isn't about features or megapixels, it is about power. Does the device work for you, or does it work for a corporate server farm in Virginia or Dublin?
The industry has a new favorite sticker, no subscription. It's on the box, and it's technically true. Nobody bills you monthly. But no subscription is not the same as ownership, and the gap between those two things is where you get caught. We start at the bottom: Ring, Arlo, and Google Nest.
These fail every one of the 4 checks. They need an internet connection to record, an account to function, and they store nothing locally. If Google or Amazon switch their servers off tomorrow, these cameras are landfill. Arlo is particularly aggressive. Their secure plans start at roughly £30 a year for a single camera and scale up to over £150 for a full home setup. You own the plastic, they own the footage. Verdict: rent it.
Next, we move to the compromise tier. These brands, like Eufy and TP-Link's Tapo line, tell a more convincing story. They offer micro SD card slots, they promise local storage, but the strings are still there, tied tightly around your privacy.
Take the Tapo C120. It passes the local storage test, but it fails the account test. To even set it up, you must create a TP-Link account. You cannot simply talk to the camera directly. You have to ask TP-Link for permission to see your own front door.
There is a technical gotcha with Tapo as well. You can use their cloud service, or their SD card recording, or an NVR, but you can only pick 2. They intentionally throttle the hardware to keep you leaning toward their subscription. Verdict: compromised.
The Eufy SoloCam S340 is another example of a half-truth. It stores video locally on a home base, which is good, but it still requires a Eufy account. If Eufy's authentication servers go dark, you are locked out of your own security history. Verdict: compromised. The most interesting entry in this category is the Reolink Argus 4 Pro, because it's the one sold hardest on the promise. The headline on the box is "No subscription, local storage." On the surface, that looks like a win. Read the spec sheet and it's a walled garden made of battery-powered plastic. The Argus 4 Pro fails the check that matters most: survival. Reolink's own documentation confirms it has no RTSP stream at all, and only partial ONVIF. In practice, that means it talks to the Reolink app and very little else. If Reolink stops updating that app in 5 years, the camera goes with it. This brings us to the mechanism underneath it all of it. There's a technical dividing line that decides whether you own your tech. On one side, battery, Wi-Fi, app first. On the other, wired, PoE, ONVIF. Almost every battery camera on the market sits on the rental side of that line. Batteries are the enemy of ownership. To save power, these cameras sleep until they see motion. They can't stream 24/7 to your own server because the battery would die in hours. So they rely on waking up via a proprietary cloud ping. This is why the Argus 4 Pro, despite the no subscription label, is still a tethered device. It is designed to be dependent. It is a leash disguised as a feature. Verdict: compromised. Quick one. I keep a directory of every gadget that's passed the ownership test, sorted by category, with the setup steps to keep it off the cloud. It's called the No Subscription Tech Directory. Link below. Costs less than 2 months of the average camera plan. Now, we look at the only camera on this list that actually belongs to you, the Reolink RLC810A. It is a wired Power over Ethernet camera. It is not as easy to install as a battery stick-up cam. That is exactly why it works. The 810A passes all 4 checks. First, no internet. You can plug this into a local switch, block it from the web entirely at the router level, and it will still record 4K video to a local hard drive without missing a frame. Second, no account.
You can configure the camera through a local web browser by typing in its IP address. You don't need to give Reolink your email, your location, or your phone number just to see your backyard.
Third, local storage. It has a micro SD slot for basics, but more importantly, it talks to any NVR or software you choose. You aren't locked into Reolink's hardware. You can use Blue Iris, Frigate, or Scripted. Finally, survival. The 810A speaks RTSP and ONVIF, the universal languages of video, so it drops straight into Blue Iris, Frigate, or a Synology box with no Reolink account anywhere in the chain. If Reolink went under tomorrow, this camera carries on recording to hardware you own. One caveat, and I'd rather you heard it from me. Through third-party software, you may be held to the substream rather than the full 4K. Degraded, but still yours.
It is telling that Reolink markets the Reo-compromised battery cameras much harder than their PoE line. The PoE cameras are sold to people who know what they are doing. The battery cameras are sold to people who can be convinced to pay a recurring fee. Verdict: owned.
Let's look at the actual arithmetic. Ring's multi-camera plan is $79.99 a year. That is not a one-off. That is every year for as long as you want to keep seeing your own footage. 10 years in, you have paid more in rent than the cameras ever cost you, and you still own nothing.
Quick one. I keep a directory of every gadget that's passed the ownership test, sorted by category, with the setup steps to keep it off the cloud. It's called the No Subscription Tech Directory. Link below. Costs less than 2 months of the average camera plan.
A wired PoE system, by contrast, is a single purchase. Once it is on the wall, the running cost is zero. No monthly rent, no price rises, no quiet change to the terms of service that deletes your history. So why doesn't everyone do this? Because the industry has spent millions of pounds convincing you that running a single cable is too hard. They want you to value the 5 minutes you save during installation over the 10 years of rent you'll pay later.
There is also the privacy cost. When your footage lives on Arlo or Ring servers, it is accessible to them. They can, and do, share footage with law enforcement without a warrant in emergency situations. If you don't own the server, you don't own the privacy.
When you use a camera like the 810A and keep it local, your footage never leaves your house. It is physically impossible for a Silicon Valley employee to audit your clips. Your home remains your home.
The escape path is simple, but it requires a shift in mindset. Stop looking for no subscription stickers. Start looking for the letters PoE and the word ONVIF. These are the only guarantees of hardware independence.
If you cannot run an Ethernet cable, look for wired Wi-Fi cameras like the Tapo C120 or eufy models, but understand the trade-off. You are trading a small amount of sovereignty for a large amount of convenience. It is a compromise, not a victory.
The ultimate test is this. If the company that made your camera vanished tomorrow, would your house still be secure? For Ring, Arlo, and Nest users, the answer is a definitive no. Your security is a service they can cancel at any time. For the owners of truly local hardware, the answer is yes. The cameras keep spinning, the hard drives keep recording. The system remains yours because you paid for the solution, not the permission to use it.
Don't be fooled by the easy setup. The easiest setup for the manufacturer is the one that lets them bill you forever. The sharpest concrete fact in home security is this: if you aren't managing the storage, you aren't the owner, you're the tenant. Buy the hardware, refuse the rent. Take the ownership test before you drill a single hole in your wall, because your security should belong to you, not a shareholder's quarterly report.